everyone. Thank you for joining for another session of Azure Power Lunch. As you know that we record these calls and place our recordings on our YouTube channel. So if you don't want to be recorded, you may want to drop off. And we have a interesting topic today. This is managed namespaces in AKS. So uh, let's go in. Quick agenda. We're going to talk about Kubernetes namespaces, what they are, why they're used. And then we're going to talk about managed Kubernetes, what they bring to the table, and what are some of the features, how you create them, use them, and what are some of the limitations. And most of the time, as usual, is going to be spent on the demo. Okay, so just a quick agenda set. So, namespace are a way of logically dividing or provide logical separation for teams in a Kubernetes cluster. They are not a concept for AKS. This is basic Kubernetes concept, as you may know. Um, so let's say that you have different teams. They can be different application teams. They can be different departments. And what they're doing is they are coming in and they want to work on use this AKS cluster. So what's going to happen is that they, instead of creating a separate cluster for each, you create namespaces that's their own kind of area where they can deploy apps, services, things like that. They can set up resource constraints, they can set up network policies even. So all of these things you can do at the namespace level. Okay. What managed namespaces do, they simplify this namespace management and multi-tenancy in AKS. So that's what this, please keep in mind the managed namespaces are currently in public preview. Okay. So first of all, there are certain rules. And by the way, before we go into managed namespaces, just keep in mind they require, if you want to use the managed namespaces feature, they require that you have an RBAC based cluster. Okay, so your cluster should support RBAC. If you know what that is, basically this is integrating your cluster with AKS, because once you have that integration, then some of the things that start like a role-based access control, providing access to the namespaces, all of that starting to make sense. Okay, so they are just not any user; they are users which are groups which are in Entra ID, and then you give them access. So first of all, there are two key roles. One is the control plane role. Okay, so the control plane role is the Azure AKS namespace contributor, which can create namespaces. Okay, they can create namespaces, and the second role is the namespace user, which can list namespaces, but they cannot change anything. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Um, and then you have the data plane role. These are the roles which can do things with um, namespace, like change policy and all that. Okay, who are these roles? These roles are AKS RBAC reader, which can read, of course, writer, which can write or uh, set things with the deploy things, and then finally RBAC admin. Okay, um, but just keep in mind it cannot do the quota piece. So they can, once again, these are the data stuff. So they can deploy to this namespace. Okay, so they are all data related names, uh, data related roles. So with that, and as I said, these are some of the precursors. Before you can do it, first of all, you have to set up an AKS cluster, and that cluster should have the role-based access control for Kubernetes authorization. You have to set that up. If you don't do that, then this thing will not work. Then you have to set up the manage namespace preview flag that has to be registered. Takes a minute to register, but you have to register that. And then you should have proper access, you know, on this particular cluster to do what you want to do. Okay, so let me just quick recap. Managed namespaces, they allow you, they simplify um, the namespaces in uh, AKS, and they basically work on top of RBAC, all of the system of assigning access and things like that. You have to have a RBAC uh, based AKS cluster. So basically, what you do is you create a cluster using RBAC, and we will show it in the demo, like how you create such cluster. And then there are some limitations. First of all, the limitation is you cannot migrate system namespaces like kube system, app routing, all of that to a managed namespace. By the way, you can move an existing namespace to managed namespace. Okay, and when you create a managed namespace, basically, or migrate an existing namespace to a managed namespace, you cannot use Kube API to make changes to it. You will have to use basically Azure API because now it's an Azure resource. Okay, and there's something with the private cluster where you can create new namespaces, but you cannot convert existing names. So these are some of the limitations that are there. Okay, so let's quickly go into the demo. First of all, let me just move this thing further away. So when you are going to be creating the cluster, this is what you're going to be doing. So first of all, let me go into the Azure portal, and I am in the what you call Azure batch, the Cloud Shell. Okay, we're going to be doing most of the stuff on there. I just wanted to show you a command that we use to um, basically create the. Here we go. Sorry. So this is the command, and I'm not going to run this command. I already ran it. These are the two pieces: enable AAD, enable Azure RBAC. So this is you have to do. You have to create. This has to be in the cluster. If that is not there, then your managed namespaces will not work. Okay, so that's that. So we already have, since just to save time, we already have created that cluster, and we already have downloaded the credential and everything. And once that is there, now I need to let's say get the nodes. You know, okay. Now it's asking me to sign in. This is important that it has to authorize that you are the right person. You can access it. So I'm gonna go in here, and then it's gonna ask me who is the user. And I have enabled two factors, so now I have to go to my phone and enable access from there. Yes. Okay, let's continue. And now it's signed into my account. I can close this window. Look, this, and by the way, you don't have to do it for every time. It's only once. If your session expired, then you will have to do it again. Okay, that's all there is to it. So this is basically we are doing this, and we saw the whole RBAC is enabled. So now let's go back to our cluster and let's see what is the managed namespace experience. So I go into the namespaces. You can see here a list of namespaces that will come up. Um, Give it a second. Uh, So you see here managed namespaces. There are three of these. The last four are managed. The first four are not. Okay. So what we're gonna do is, first of all, we are gonna go in and see what is the experience of a managed Kubernetes namespace. Okay. Um, so I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna call it um, 03. Okay. And I'm gonna say allow all traffic. So it's gonna allow. So basically, I can set up the policies from here. Okay. And this is the quota. You can change it. You know. And by the way, you can change the quota afterwards as well. You can go in and you can update it. So you can do that. Oh, and by the way, these are the members. So that's where you will be adding different AD groups. Um, and so I'm just, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just gonna add myself to this. Okay, that's it. And then if you want to set up some metadata, you want to set up some value, it's gonna, set. And if you want to pick some tags from here, for example, um, AKS managed pool name, it's gonna pick node pool one, you know, so these kind of things. So you can pick all of those values. And then we just do review and create, and it's gonna create this thing. It takes a minute to create it. In the meantime, any questions? And in the meantime, let's. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back there and I'm going to create a existing namespace, and then I will want to show you like how we can migrate an existing namespace as well. Okay. So while we are here, I'm going to. Okay, sorry, kubectl create. So it's created the namespace. So while this is working, we are creating another namespace as well. So let's see if that, okay, so it has been created. Let's go to the namespace. So this is a managed namespace, and I want to show you something here. Let's go to the resource group. So this is my resource group where my Kubernetes cluster is. And if you, as you can see here, these are the managed namespaces. So these are first party resources, guys. These are first party resources that are there that you can see. Uh, Manage all of these managed Kubernetes namespaces. These are first party resources, and that's very important to note. Now, when we come here, so these are different. So this is the namespace that we have created, and what we can do here now is let's deploy a sample application. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a starter application. I'm going to do create next, and I'm going to review the YAML to make sure, yes, it is deploying into the managed namespace, and I'm going to say deploy, and it's deploying close. Yes, I want to keep the app. So it has deployed the app. Okay. Very simple. I'm sure you have seen it hundreds of times. This is a very simple store application that is deployed. Let's refresh it and let's go into services and ingress. Okay. So this is a service that is deployed. And now what I'm going to do is um, I'm going to try to access this service. At store, nothing fancy. We can access this service. Uh, And while we are looking at this service, let's go back here and let's look at the overview. These are the values that we have set at this moment for this particular namespace. We have ingress network policy, allow all network traffic. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to deny all network traffic. So basically, you will see how we can change policy, and it will have an impact on the um, on the on the namespace itself. So let's get the so I'm going to go in here. Any questions, folks? Please feel free to ask. Okay. So I'm going to do deny all. And this is the namespace. It's called, what was the namespace? Just want to confirm the names, NZ MNS. 03. Any questions? Okay. So now what I have done is I am basically applying this policy and I'm denying all ingress. Okay. So let's see. Now try to access. Let's go in here and let's go into the workloads. I'm going to close this window. I'm in this workload here, and these are services and ingress. So this is a service that we are exposing that is a public IP. Let's click on it. You see, nothing shows up because we have stopped in network traffic, so there is no communication happening. So basically, I mean, this is not a very fancy or earth-shattering example, but just to show you that how you can do the management of the namespace at the AKS level. So what Microsoft is trying to do is bubbling up all of that management stuff at the AKS level. So you deal it at that level, make it simpler, make it more in a way where it's kind of a similar to you do other AKS activities. Because look, this is the command that we used. This is not a kubectl command. This is an AZ AKS namespace. And by the way, when you run this command, it tells you that this is a preview, this is under development, yes. But this is an AKS command that you're using, and you're applying a network policy, you're saying, hey, block all network traffic, and that's what's happening. Okay? So that's that. Now let's, yeah, this is an error. Yeah, it can't access it, no big deal. Now what we're gonna do is, let's go back there and let's allow the traffic. So we decided that we are gonna allow it. So I'm gonna do allow all, and it's going to run the same command, and let's let it come back up. Look, it's allow all. Let's go in here. Let's try to open it now. Yeah, it's working. So you see, very simple, straightforward, uh, how kind of this thing works. Okay, with a simple demo. Now let's see how we can migrate from an existing policy, existing namespace, sorry, not policy that we have, and we can take it into a managed namespace. Okay, so here we are. These are the namespaces, and let me, once it shows up. Okay, so this is the namespace that we created a few minutes ago. So this is not a, as you can see, this is not a managed namespace. So let's go back here. I'm going to do this manage namespace. And look, it asks you convert to manage. And in the drop down, as you can see, there is no systems namespace. Okay. And we are just going to use that. We are just going to pick the defaults. Next, review and create. And now this becomes a managed namespace. Okay. So, create it. Okay, so while this being created, let me go back here in the Kubernetes cluster. Yeah, let this namespace to be created. It will take a second. Let me go in here. Let me go to the cluster itself. And then I want to show you the deletion experience as well. Okay. So now you decided, I don't want to use them. For some reason, you don't want to use the managed namespace. What you want to do is you want to go back to managing the namespaces from the Kubernetes side. You want to do that. Okay. So what how you can do that? So you can do is if you have an existing namespace that you migrated, you can click on it and you can say delete. Okay, it gives you two options. One, keep namespace, remove management capabilities. What it's going to do is it will become a unmanaged Kubernetes namespace, non-managed Kubernetes namespace. Or if you want to delete it and all of the associated resources, it will delete the entire thing. Okay. So let's say that we want to keep the namespace and we just and by the way, it creates RBAC role, but those just keep in mind that those roles will be deleted no matter what. You keep the namespace, but just remove the management, or you delete the namespace entirely. If we do that, let's do this, and we delete it. So now what it is doing is it's deleting the management of the namespace. The namespace will still be there, but it will be just a Kubernetes namespace. Okay. So if we come back here, you will see in a minute it will become uh, yeah, it's successfully deleted. Let's refresh it. You see here, demo ns03 is not a managed namespace. You cannot manage it. So that's kind of simple. So let's quickly go back. Let's do a recap. So as you know, that managed namespaces are a way to logically carve out um, a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, what they allow you to do is they allow you to do resource policy, they allow you to do network policy, all of that stuff. What managed namespaces do on top of the Kubernetes namespaces that they are managed by AKS, they simplify the concept of namespaces. So, like we saw that, like as applying network policy, applying resource management, they make it simple. You can, at this moment, convert existing namespaces, except the system namespaces, into managed namespaces. You can um, uh, basically create new managed namespaces. Okay, just keep in mind you have to have a RBAC based AKS cluster. And I have added resources in the end, which shows you how you can create that cluster, what are some of the prerequisites for that, and how you can then enable managed namespaces. Just keep in mind that this feature is currently in public preview. Okay, so yes, uh, we have 6 more minutes, so please let me know if you have any questions. Okay. So yeah, I mean, please take a look. This is a new feature that's currently in public preview, and hope you give it a shot and see what it can do for you. And hope to see everybody next week. If there are no other questions, I hope to see everybody next week for another session of Azure Power Lunch. Thank you very much.